So, in the world, there's lots of different genres of music. And upon that, there's a lot of different subgenres as well. And those subgenres have different sounds, different feels, different emotions, different popularities. And the subgenre that I want to talk about today is pop punk. And I want to inform you about the origin, the sounds, how it got big in the 90s and the early 2000s, and how it kind of revamped itself in today's modern music. So the first part I want to talk about is the origin of pop punk. Now, pop punk really, according to Spindidly's KB and her article "History of Pop Punk Music," started about around the 80s, with bands such as the Ramones, Bad Religion, Minor Threat, and a bunch of other ones. And they really set the style for the gritty rock part of it, but also bringing in more lighter pop beats and lyrics. And then through that, we got the style of pop punk. And really there's two styles. There's the high energy pop style with rock instruments such as guitars and drums mixed into it. It also has a melancholy side with very slow, rhythmic guitars and drums and sad lyrics. Now, some of the themes that pop punk really describes are a loss of love or a melancholy of love, a teen angst and the joys of being young, and also it really pushes into pushing away from the establishment, as in being different, being part of something else. And actually, in Lizette Corse's article, Pop Punk Provocateurs, Kyle Lyman, who was a creator of Vans World Warped Tour, which was a huge pop punk tour back in the 2000s, and had all different bands, he said that punk is a movement that by its very nature breaks the establishment. Now, I want to talk about, play some music that actually is pop punk in the early 2000s when it was popular. And so the first one I'm going to play is I Miss You by Blink-182, and this captures the real melancholy, slow part of that. So you can hear from that it's very slow, it has subtle drums and guitar, and the lyrics are low, and they're talking about missing a love and being hurt. The next song I'll talk about is Teenagers by My Chemical Romance, another big pop punk band in the 2000s. And that's really more upbeat, and it shows the breaking of the establishment theme. So you can see it really leans into the breaking away from the establishment and shows those heavy guitar riffs, and later in the song we'll have really bassy drums. Now, after the origins, I want to talk about when it really was big, when pop punk was sweeping the nation and took over pretty much all of pop culture. Now, that was, as I said, in the late 90s and early 2000s. And pop punk had some of the most selling albums and the most plays pretty much in the US. And then, according to Marissa G's article, Top 10 Selling Pop Punk Albums of All Time, Fall Out Boy, another huge band of this pop punk era, album Under the Oak Tree actually sold 2.7 million albums just in its first year of release in 2005. And number 9 on Billboard's Top 100 Albums of the Year. Also, in 1999, they had the release of Blink-182's Enema of the State, and that released to 12 platinum records. So that means 1 platinum is you sold 1 million records. So they sold 12 million records just in their first year of 1999, and also went number 9 on the top Billboard's 100 albums. And other than just music, and the selling of music, it was used in all facets of pop culture. Now this includes movies, television, commercials, everything. Like in the movie from 2006, John Tucker Must Die, they used a lot of songs from All American Rejects, a top popular punk band then, and used songs like My Dirty Little Secret and Give You Hell. Also, in the movie American Pie, the classic American movie from the 1990s, it uses Blink 182's Mutt. And then we have Simple Plan, who made the song actually for What's New Scooby Doo, the theme song that everyone grew up with. Now, I'm going to talk some of the bands that were big, and then, so as I said, Blink 182. We also had the bigger bands that everyone knows, like Green Day, All American Rejects, Avril Lavigne, who was known as the pop punk queen, actually, and there's tons and tons upon that. Now, after their big break in the 90s, 2000s, pop punk kind of fizzled out. It died out like most pop genres, and the bands broke up, and people kind of forgot it. But in 2013, Fall Out Boy actually released the album Save Rock and Roll, and that was a top-selling album with songs like my songs like Know What You Did in the Dark and Centuries, which went triple platinum and were heard everywhere on the radio. Then you also had Travis Barker, who was the drummer for Blink-182, working with other artists and bringing that pop-punk style back in those early years. But recently, in the 2020s, you have more artists coming back with Machine Gun Kelly, who released the album Tickets to My Downfall, which is completely pop-punk and was huge. It was on the radio always and had songs like My Ex's Best Friend or My Bloody Valentine, which were played at the VMA Awards and MTV's Music Awards and everything. Then you have people like Youngblood, a British singer who's bringing back pop punk, and songs like 11 Minutes, which went big. And also you have Olivia Rodrigo, who everyone knows did Good For You, a pop punk album song that actually still plays. It had 43.2 million plays and is topping all social media like Instagram and TikTok. No. So just to wrap it all up and conclude, we talked about the origins of pop punk in the early 80s and the different themes of it, like sadness and love, but also teen angst and breaking away from the establishment. We talked about the popularity of it in the 90s and the 2000s and some of the big bands that were happening during that time. And then also it's revamping in the 2020s and some of the people are bringing it back. Now I think with this new coming of pop punk, we'll see it taking over the pop culture again and becoming popular like it once was, and also maybe see some other genres coming back and being big like they once were.